Divine, not distorted. And I mean specifically divine masculinity, not distorted masculinity, and divine femininity, not distorted femininity. I would argue that many of the problems we face, certainly the tensions between the sexes, misogyny, sexism, all of the narratives that are out in the Western world with respect to the battles of the sexes, is, I think, related to the fact that we live in distorted versions, not divine versions of the masculine and the feminine. And in fact, these distorted versions have been not accidentally created, but specifically designed that the societal structures nurture distortion of the masculine and distortion of the feminine for one very particular reason: to keep us disconnected, to keep us away from unity, and to remove our collective power. Now, what do I mean by divine masculine? So the divine masculine is the protector, the action taker, filled with purpose, strength, integrity, and wisdom. That is a very high level overview of what the masculine. Now, the feminine is very similar but different, because the feminine doesn't really have that action, protection, strength in the same way. Not that they don't also have it, but just it's different. So the divine feminine is defined primarily by intuition, by creativity, by being in a state of flow, nurturing, being filled with compassion, openness, and balanced. So they're sort of, in a sense, two sides of the same coin, but they do embody specific frequency differences. And both are found, the masculine and the feminine are found in both men and women. Meaning that there is, regardless of your actual sex, you have aspects of the feminine and aspects of the masculine. And this is the duality of this world that we live in, the polarity of the world, right? This is a dualistic reality that we live in, and this is just another margin of that dualistic world. So toxic masculinity is something I hear a lot in the world. And this is sort of embodied by the push, 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 like early bird gets the worm. You got to work, work, work. You got to hustle. You got to, you are generally emotionally suppressed, driven by the ego, often narcissistic, and certainly typically have a fragile sense of self. And that's the distorted or the toxic masculinity. The distorted feminine instead is more of a codependence, can be related to the Jezebel spirit, deceptive, controlling, victimhood, emotional dysregulation in the distorted feminine. So I think if we just listen to those words, like, that seems to be the society we live in, right? And this distinction or these differences between the sexes lead to lots of distortions in society. So the distorted masculine and the distorted feminine are leading to societal distortions. It leads to separation, right? And so the answer is to find union, and this is happening now, right? The divine feminine in particular is coming back in. I'm going to take a little sidestep on what I believe to be, and this is 100% my belief system, and not necessarily rooted in any in truth, and it's not, you're not going to read this in a book, but I believe that the last time we had that these divine feminine and divine masculine, they go in cycles, much like seasons or the movement of planets, etc. So the last time that we had a golden age of a divine feminine was during the Egyptian era, and as that golden age progressed in time, it transformed from, as often happens, a divine rooting or rooting in divine femininity to a distorted feminine. And it became that distorted feminine became abusive. And I believe that men were abused and in the way that women have been abused in this patriarchal society in our recent past. So the masculine then took over. So you had the divine feminine, and then it fell into a distorted state. Then the masculine took over, and distorted masculine, and was upset, collectively with the behavior of the distorted feminine and essentially reversed it. And this, I think, is the root of sexism and separation between the sexes and misogyny and in part the toxic masculinity. So together, the masculine and the feminine are perfect complements. The feminine has the intuition, the creativity, can see what can be created. And then the masculine goes out and does it. The masculine aspect of you goes out and does it. And again, this is not about whether you are female or male. This is about the duality that exists within you. And they are, in fact, perfect complements, especially if they can act as equals, working together to co-create the reality rooted in the intuition of the divine feminine. And it's a beautiful thing when it aligns. I don't think as a collective we really know what that alignment looks like because it's been so long since we've been there. But it is coming back. And it's coming back driven by the divine feminine because this is the upswing, once again, of the divine feminine. And when we can clear the distortions of the masculine and the feminine and find that unity, then we can manifest and create in really powerful ways. So what's the point of all this? Who cares, right? The problems that we face as a society, the challenges that we face are driven by deeply rooted spiritual concepts, energetic concepts. They're reinforced by social constructs, social contracts, the way that the system rewards certain types of behavior, and it perpetuates the separation. The point is that we should all be working, I should say, on both the divine feminine expression within us and the divine masculine expression within us, regardless of our sex. And that if we can work to achieve this union, this beautiful union, which is, I think, happening for many people in this realm now, we can rediscover the divine, not the distorted versions. That's where the magic happens.